Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and in today's tutorial we are going to be working on a keychain, and this keychain is going to be a little whale. It's super cute, very quick project, would be great for market prep. So let's gather some supplies and we will jump into the pattern. Now today I'm going to be making, like I said, a keychain. So I'm going to be using my Toucan Fine yarn. This is a chenille yarn, but it's a size 4. I'm going to be using blue for the main body, and I'm going to be using white for the bottom of the whale and also the like the water spout. For this yarn, I like to use a 3.5mm crochet hook. This is just my frills crochet hook. We're also going to need some stitch markers, some fabric pins, a stitch marker. We're going to need a darning needle. We'll need some sort of keychain. This is what I have on hand, so this is what I'll be using. If you're not embroidering eyes, I would suggest having some safety eyes. These are just little guys, 6mm, because I'm going to be using such small yarn. And then we're also going to need some fiber fill. Now you can do this pattern in larger yarn, it just won't be much of a keychain unless you want an oversized like bag charm or something. You could upsize your yarn, upsize your hook. If you're going to use like a 6mm, or sorry, if you're going to use a size 6 bulky yarn, you could use a 5.5mm crochet hook for this pattern as well. So now that we have all of our supplies gathered, we will jump into the pattern. All right, so we are going to be starting off with our white yarn for the belly. So this is going to be like our color A yarn. Sorry. All right, so we're going to start off with a magic ring here. And you should know how to do a magic ring, crochet within the round before you start this project. I just like to pre-pull my ring there, and inside the magic ring we're going to place 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I just like to pull halfway, and then I'll just do the remaining 5, 6, 7, and 8. Here we go. Finish pulling that. And I'm going to place my stitch marker. I like to just use a scrap stranded yarn, but you can use whatever you want. Now moving on for round 2, we're going to do an increase round. So an increase stitch is 2 single crochets in 1. And we're going to do that in every stitch around. So a total of 8 times. And you should have 16 stitches at the end of round 2. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and last 2, 15, and 16. Moving on to round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and an increase, so 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And we're going to repeat that combination a total of 8 times. Single crochet, increase, and you should have 24 stitches at the end of round 3. All right, now I'm not going to finish off this last stitch. I'm just going to leave the 2 loops on my hook because we are going to now change colors here, and I'm going to change into my blue. So I'm going to grab my tail. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my project here, I'm going to grab that new yarn, and I'm going to pull it through that last stitch. It's going to finish off that stitch, and it's going to change our color all at the same time. And I'm just going to tie a light knot here. And sorry, I never mentioned in the supplies, but we will need some scissors as well. And now we have our new color attached. So moving on for rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, so 7 rounds total, we are going to do single crochet 24. So that's going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 7 rounds. I'm going to complete this round, these 7 rounds off camera, and then I will meet you back here for round 11. All right, so this is what we're looking like at the end of round 10. I did all 7 rounds of my single crochet 24. Now moving on, we're going to do a full decrease round. So a decrease, we're going to turn 2 stitches into 1, and we're going to do 12 decreases. So I like to do invisible decreases. So I like to grab the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop of the second stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Just going to do that all the way around 12 times, and you should have 12 stitches left at the end. All right, so that is all done. Now what we're going to do before we move on is we're going to stuff our little whale here, and we're also going to place our safety eyes. So usually I like to stuff prior to placing my eyes, just because I like to have an idea of what it will look like when it's stuffed, because stuffing does change the shape of your project. However, this is basically what it's going to look like. It's not going to change much because it's just basically straight up. So I'm just going to take my safety eyes here. Now we're going to place our eyes on rounds 7 and 8. So I'm going to count down. I want to find the side that is going to be the front. So usually not the side with the color change. We don't want this in the front. So I usually put that in the back, and this will be my front. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm just going to place an eye here. And then we want about 7 stitches in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to probably put this one right here, like that. Now I'm just going to flip this guy inside out. I'm going to put my backings on. Now I don't love these backings. They are pretty flimsy. So I personally like to take a lighter and a piece of cardboard here, and I just like to burn these. Some people will say that this weakens it a little bit, but I personally think it has a better chance of sticking on, and it's okay if it gets on the fabric because no one's going to see that. I just prefer, it makes me feel more comfortable, especially if I'm going to be giving this to someone, that I know it's not going to come off or some kid's going to choke on it. So I just like to kind of squish them down like that. So I'm going to flip my whale back around. And then I'm just going to stuff all these yarn tails back in. And I'm going to stuff my whale. It won't take a lot of stuffing to stuff this guy. He's pretty tiny. And I always like to just sweep my stuffing outwards to make sure the edges are all getting filled. And then I just stuff again down the center. You don't want to overstuff so it's like rock hard, but you want to make sure it will keep its shape. So kind of like that. Sorry if that was like a really loud car. I don't know what, that person is so loud. I don't know if you heard that, but if you did, I apologize. Okay, so there is our whale so far. Now we just have one final round left. This will be round 12, and this is a decrease round again. So we currently have 12 stitches. We're going to do 6 decrease stitches, same as we did in the last round, and we should have 6 stitches remaining at the end of round 12. It is a little bit harder to grab these front loops when there's stuffing in, so just take your time. You really only want the front loop. You don't want to grab both loops because that's kind of how you get holes in the top of your project. If you only grab the front loop, I find that there is less holes. Here we go. I'm just going to cut my yarn, pull my stitch marker out, and then all I like to do here is just insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and make a slip stitch there. Now it is kind of hard at this point to stuff anymore, so you want to make sure that you fully stuffed in round 11. But if you absolutely had to, you could probably stick a little bit more stuffing in there if needed. Now the very last thing I like to do to close up this last hole here is I just like to go under the front loop of each stitch, yarn over, pull through, and this is going to grab all those stitches, gather them together. I'll do like 3 and then I'll just close it a little bit, and you can see here that that hole is already basically gone. Like that. And then I just like to reach in, grab that, and I just like to make a little knot here as well. Now this area is going to be covered up by the water spout, but you really can't tell anyways. And then I will grab this tail here and weave it in, and then we'll be all done the body of our whale. All right, so next we're going to start placing our fins. So we're going to need some fabric pins, and we're going to need our blue yarn or whatever it is you use for the body. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look on the side here. We're going to do 2 side fins. We want to place a marker where we're going to place our fin. So we want to place it on round 4, which is this first blue round here. And we want to start our fin about 1 stitch away from the eye. So I'm going to start it about here. Like that. That's just my little marker here. Next, I'm going to grab my yarn. I'm going to make a slip knot on my hook. And all I'm going to do here is just insert my hook where I did my marker. I'll take that out. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm just going to make a slip stitch there. And now we are attached. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we're going to do here is we're going to skip this very first chain closest to our hook, and in the remaining 3 chains we're going to place a single crochet. So into that second chain from the hook we'll place a single crochet, third chain from the hook, and the 4th chain. So it looks like this. Next, we're going to go back into the body. We're going to skip this stitch right next to where we were, and into that next stitch right here, we're just going to yarn over and make a slip stitch. I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to yarn over and pull through to tie that off. And there is our first little fin. All we have to do here is weave in our ends. And actually, I'm just going to probably push mine with my darning needle to the back. This yarn's kind of fluffing apart on me here. This one to the back in the same hole. Oh my goodness. And then I just like to usually make a little knot here, and then I'll weave these in. If I can grab that stitch. There we go. All right, so there is our first fin all done. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. I will complete that off camera, and then I'll meet you back here for the next step. All right, so there's our little side fins completed. Now we're gonna work on our back fin. So what we wanna do, again, we're gonna mark it first. So we're gonna take our fabric pin. We wanna mark center back, and ideally we want it to be, you know, the same stitches on either side. And best case scenario, it would be centered between the eyes as well. May not work out perfectly like that depending on how you placed your side fins, but that is the goal. We're going to take our blue yarn again, and we're going to make a slip knot. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the stitch beside where we marked, which is going to be this last white stitch. We're going to yarn over and make a slip stitch. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, we're going to chain 4. My bad. We're going to skip that first chain again like we did in the fins on the side. Into the second chain from the hook, we're going to insert our hook and we're going to place a slip stitch instead of a single crochet. Then into the next stitch, we're going to do another slip stitch. And then the last one, we're going to do another slip stitch. So you should look like this. Now we're going to insert into that stitch here that we deemed center. Take my pin out. I'm going to yarn over, pull through to make a slip stitch. And then we're going to repeat that again. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip the first stitch. Slip stitch into the remaining 3 stitches. And then we're going to go into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull through, cut our yarn, yarn over, pull all the way through, and there's our little back tail. And then same as before, I'm just going to bring my yarn tails here together. And this guy. We'll tie these off and we'll weave them in. And then the fins will be all done. And the only thing left to do for this guy is going to be the water spout if you're deciding to do that. Not everybody wants the water spout, so if you don't, then you can skip to the end of this video. And there's our little fins. All right, so this is what we're looking like at this point. And now all we have to do is add the little water spout on the top. And we're going to use our white yarn for that, or whatever yarn you want to use for the spout. Again, we're going to start off with a slip knot with our white yarn. Now we're going to find where we want to put our water spout. We kind of want it to be in the center, between the eyes, and kind of like in the center of the head, somewhere around there. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to just take this section here. I'm going to take this whole section. It's just both sides of the last round. I'm going to yarn over, pull through to make a little slip stitch there. All right, now very similar to what we were doing in the side fins, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to skip this very first chain. In the second, third, and fourth chain, we're going to do 1 single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Lost my yarn there. And then we're going to go right back into that same stitch on the head and make a slip stitch and do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet in the last 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. And then again, back into that same stitch, make a slip stitch. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then skip the first chain, and then 3 single crochets in the remaining 3 chains. And then one final slip stitch. Oopsies. There we go. Oh my goodness, sorry. It's harder at this point because it's all right. And then I'm just going to cut my yarn here. I'm going to yarn over and pull that through. Like that. And then you can just kind of move these around. So I kind of like when they're in like a spiral like this, so it kind of looks more like a spout. And then the last thing to finish it off and kind of pull it down a little bit is putting these ends down. Through. I'll do the other one as well. Here we go. Like that. And then I'm just going to tie this guy off. Cut the tails and weave it in. Here we go. And there is our little whale all done. Now the last thing I'm going to do is just attach my keychain. I'm just going to use the clip side and I'm just going to attach it directly behind my spout here, like that. And there you have a little whale keychain. I hope that this was super helpful for you. I hope you love this little tutorial. Don't forget to tag us on Instagram and share your makes with us because we always love to see it. We hope you guys have a lovely day and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!